Twisted Fate, but you have to worry about the Azir coming out from the side of BDD. Going to be a heavily contested pick for him. So we'll have to see what they're going to do with the draft as we do enter it. First ban coming out from Afreeca is going to be Varus, and this has become a very staple ban, kind of joining the ranks of Italy, something that we consistently see taken off the board for either side, regardless of who's playing. Twisted Fate, of course, from CJ, going to be that respect over to Mickey, and then the Azir to follow, showing respect to BDD.
Yeah, BDD's most played champion has been the Azir. When he gets his hand on it, he's the one who brought it back into the meta right at the start of the round robin on debut. I mean, a very impressive Azir. We're not going to see Zed either, unfortunately. That's banned out. So a lot of target bans means there's still a lot of power left in this draft for the picks.
Yep. Zed taking away Sivir as well. Now final ban.
You don't think of Sivir as a needed ban against Afreeca, but actually, since that CJ set, Sungyun is 7-0 on Sivir.
Wow.
They played very impressively on the Sivir comps. Both the wave clear that Sivir provides allows Mickey to go for low wave clear champions, go for assassins.
Oh, here we go.
And the champion pools that open up as a result. Well, speaking of champions coming through, Rise first pick, no-brainer.
But Echo makes it through as well, so a first pick coming straight out for him. Kalista, the final ban from CJ Entus, so double ADs that they take off the board, showing a lot of respect to Songyun, who has been a very prominent Kalista player. When she's kind of fallen off a little bit since her recent changes, getting some nerfs to the sentry pathing and also to the damage dealt on the passive of the W.
I mean, Rise versus Echo, if we do see that as the top lane matchup, was in fact the top lane matchup in Rocks Tigers versus Jin Air. We saw Trace on Echo solo kill Smeb, but Smeb still did the work in team fights. So I think we might see this the top lane matchup. Rise doesn't strike me as a Mickey champion, but it is possible.
It very well is possible indeed. Ixu, though, the one who has gotten a ton of praise on the side of Afreeca, maybe looking to pick up this Rise and carry the team to victory. Meanwhile, toying around with this Lissandra, it will be locked in, so that's going to go ahead and telegraph for us that it's almost certainly going to be BDD coming in with the Lissandra and not having that mid-AP Echo. It's just too damn good with tank stats.
They're trying to put a clamp on the assassin picks for Mickey. Obviously, Lissandra very safe against all-in most of the time, just with her access to the Frozen Tomb. So it's interesting to see what Mickey plays. Remember, Varus, Azir, Zed, Twisted Fate, 4 mid lane bans. And now we've had the Lissandra taken away. So the champion pool in the mid lane is actually pretty constricted at this point. It's going to be very interesting to see which direction Mickey goes. We talked about Lyra's Graves. Lyra, 8-2 since that CJ series they lost. Again, in their win streak, 8-2 on Graves. Very impressive stats. And next to Ambition, probably the best 2 Graves players in the league.
Yep. Does get locked in alongside Braum. And here the crowd just losing themselves after that hover of the Blitzcrank. Not going to come through, though. Kindred available for bubbling. That's been one of his more comfortable junglers, though he still has fumbled with it recently. But a lot open as far as the jungle goes. No bans.
See, Kindred I wouldn't mind in this rotation just because then you have double invulnerability against an assassin-minded player. You're basically saying, all right, choose an assassin, you're not going to be able to deal with this. So double invulnerability, and honestly, Echo, pseudo invulnerability in the ultimate. So suddenly a very, very slippery lineup locked in by CJ. Very hard to lock down and kill any of these 4 lock-ins.
Yeah, but the Ezreal comes in as well. Kramer's Ezreal is one of the best. It's up there just about with Bangs, I would say. He had that set a couple weeks ago where he did not die in all 3 games and just played phenomenally, kited so well. So this is definitely going to be a comfortable champion coming out for him. Wasn't sure if it was going to be the Lucian, something that he has played a hell of a lot of. Now we see Songyun perhaps playing around with the idea of that champion. Of course, a lot can be blocked here by this Braum with the Unbreakable. Can stop the True Shot Barrage and a lot of those Mystic shots that Kramer wants to weave into the back line and slow up this Rise especially as he comes teleporting in with Home Guards.
So we see the Cleanse summon a spell.
They're hovering
for
Maokai,
mid lane.
though.
So they're really considering the mid lane Rise. I don't know if I like it. I think Rise, one of the big reasons that he's viable in this meta is you run teleport on him in any situation because he lacks gap close. You know, we think of the Turbo Rise from Sarsen. he needs things like the home guard buff. If he doesn't have teleport, he doesn't have access to it. Now, he can still take summon a spell teleport, but against Lissandra, you feel priced in to take the cleanse.
Yeah, absolutely, but we can see it is the Maokai, so it will be a mid lane rise for Mickey. Going to try his hand at it. We saw Sassen play this extremely well.
But think about what Sassen had. He had teleport with the home guards. He had a Lulu in the top lane. Yeah. He was turbo rise through more than just his own desperate power movement speed. This is the sort of rise in this scenario, if he doesn't take teleport, where he might feel very constricted and very hard to actually gap close and do damage in a fight.
Yeah. I just don't know how this laning is going to go for Rise versus Lissandra. I feel like you're going to get poked out early. Obviously, you have to go for the double scaling items with the Seraph's Embrace from Tyr, and then the Catalyst, the Protector into the Rod of Ages. I feel like this Lissandra is just going to hit a point faster than Rise can, where she can just poke you out. And even if you ultimate forward and try to get into her base, Frozen Tomb, since she walks away with the Glacial Path.
Yeah, look, the draft I like from CJ a lot. It's just not very CJ-esque. It doesn't necessarily strike me as one of their wait for the late game, stall it out, and win team fights. Both teams are pretty even in terms of team fights. I give the slight advantage to Afreeca with the likes of Rise, and then the reliability of Maokai and Graves in the late game. But you're right, the mid lane laning phase is the big question mark. Rise will be heavily pushed in by Lissandra as much more wave clear. Rise will have to use his mana just to last it under turret, so will struggle. Lyra wants to be farming as Graves. So can they actually get Mickey through the laning phase and then find the fights? Because it's going to be all on Ixu to initiate, with Rise only being able to directly run at people with just the desperate power. There are no more movement speed increases. No teleport, no Lulu. Difficult for Rise to get in there for the damage.
Righteous Glory, let's go.
Well, outside chance of that. I mean, honestly, in this comp, why not?
Yeah. Was one of the staple purchases for Maokai last season. We've seen it a couple times. It's very rare, but we do see it every now and then. We'll have to see if they do want to drag that one out to try to enable Mickey to get into that backline a little bit faster, chase some people, get the roots in. But obviously, the big ones that we have to keep our eyes on, I know the match point is Mickey versus BDD, but for me, it's going to be Lyra versus Bubbling. Bubbling, somebody who has not been performing, and Lyra, who has been on a rise as far as his jungling premise goes.
Lyra's the one on comfort. Maybe they moved Mickey off comfort, but Lyra is a fantastic Graves. He's got his champion. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, let's see what he can do. Game 1, playoffs on the line. Afreeca versus CJ Entus. Let's get into it.
Everybody wants to rule the world. There's a room where the light won't find you. Holding hands while
Well, the Afreeca chant getting drowned out by the oohs and ahs as we swoop across Summoner's Rift. But the CJ chant very much present. You can hear the crowd has their backs. This crowd does not want to be disappointed. They want a CJ victory. And Samsung does as well. I'm sure they're waiting backstage, back home. I don't know where they are, but wherever they are, they're waiting and watching. Fingers crossed with breath held. BDD going to walk into this brush with Mickey.
It is a level 1 rush.
And nothing's going to happen.
Nope. Thunderlords will proc.
Oh, yeah. BDD wins.
I mean, CJ had the original org, Achilleos, MIG Blaze, MIG Frost. They were around right at the start, even before the Korean server existed, and then are synonymous with Korean League of Legends. So many of those legacy fans, still CJ fans, and they still have that link. They still have Mad Life repping it from support.
Yeah. Arguably the biggest fan base in Korea, next to SK Telecom T1. I don't even know which one has the bigger fan base technically. Could be.
I mean, SKT's done a lot more winning for a lot longer, so
it's true. But
SKT pips them, but CJ fans are fiercely loyal. They will always come to the studio, and they will always make noise.
And they will always be sad in the Reddit threads.
That's true. But that's just the Western fans. You should see the Inven CJ fans.
I'm glad I can't read Inven. It would be horrible.
Mad Life.
Oh yeah, Mad Life getting some good aggression on Lyra, pushing him right off that red buff. This is going to delay his jungle significantly. Ixu wrapping around, but going to be too late to stop Mad Life from pushing in, but will arrive in time for the red to still go down. But Ixu gets the red buff.
That's definitely not ideal.
That is not what they wanted. So all in all, Mad Life doing one hell of a job. Now getting some damage in on the tree. Look
Trying
at
to
this
burn it down.
Trundle. Yeah, that's what you have to do. Burn the tree to the ground. Madlife taking a lot of damage. Maybe sticking around a little too long. And Taro roaming down. BDD going to cut off Mickey, however, and stop that 3v1, or the 3v2.
So Afreeca got really greedy with the jungle follow because Ixu wasn't helping Lyra take the red. So Madlife could just come in and push him out of finishing the buff. In the end, we notice it doesn't go to the ideal target. It goes to the Maokai. Afreeca initiated this lane swap, got super greedy, and were well punished by Madlife's roam.
Absolutely. He even got one of the minions, I believe, out of that at the Raptor camp. So good stuff from Madlife. Really early aggression. That's what I like to see from this guy.
But just look at the flow-on effect. They're going to be so much slower in matching the top lane push. You know, Graves just stays. They're out of position because of it, and they have the buff go to not to Lyra, you know, the farming jungler who wants to get as much experience and gold as possible early. Madlife's roam just bought CJ a massive lead that's not reflected in any stat on the screen.
Yeah, and while it's not the make or break for a gank, the lack of a red buff is going to be harmful for Lyra if he wants to go in for some early aggression against somebody like BDD, who is already pretty mobile. Without that slow from the red buff, that extra damage makes it that less likely that you're actually going to find a kill.
It'll just dissuade him. That's the reality. Is it'll dissuade him from showing any aggressiveness. There's no way to know if he would have regardless, but now it's just completely out the window without that red buff.
Yep, essentially. Solid stuff, though, so far from CJ. We'll see if they can keep it up. Both of those towers being traded out, tier 1 on the top on the side of CJ and the tier 1 on the bot on the side of Afreeca. So keeping things as far as the lane swaps go pretty standard. We'll see if this is just going to be another tower swap as we have the rotations up into the top for Kramer and Madlife.
I just love that CJ basically have the most frustrating team to kill imaginable. Echo ultimate, Kindred ultimate, Lissandra ultimate, Ezreal as a champion in general has always been a big note button, and then Trundle Pillar. Locking someone down and killing them is going to be super difficult, but you have to remember that Ryze in this iteration does have multiple bursts of damage. Okay, famously now only gets the cooldown reduction for 5 spells, but because the cooldown of his ultimate Desperate Power at level 16 is so low, you get that movement speed, you get your first rotation out, everyone else during the next 10 seconds blowing flashes, trying to get out, Kindred ultimates being popped. Then basically 8 seconds later, you have 80 movement speed and AoE damage again, and if all those invulnerability ults are down, that's when Ryze may really pounce and make a big impact in fights.
Yep. You can see, though, Afreeca getting pushed off of that tier 1 on the bot side for just a couple seconds as CJ still sticking the turret in the top side like glue. Will be able to work this one down. That should give maybe a little bit of a tempo edge over to the side of CJ. They're going to keep making some moves as they go over to the Rift Herald as well. And it looks like Lyra might be trying to pay a visit to this mid lane. Just going to go in for some vision, it seems. So this will go over. We'll see who picks up the Rift Herald buff. Looks like it's going to be Kramer.
CJ, as a grand extension of the work Madlife did, is much faster. To see some good trade damage from Mickey come in. Much faster at picking up the second turret. They get a free Rift Herald. We're still waiting for the turret to go down bot. They're going to try and answer with Dragon. Looks like they'll just have the time to do it. But it's been CJ first to every objective, and Afreeca much slower.
Yep. First Dragon, though, a decent pickup. Obviously not going to net them any gold for the team globally, but will give them a little bit of a lead. BDD going in. Mickey instantly going to cleanse that out. BDD flashes in, takes a turret shot.
Can he do
it? The Q coming through. Not going to go down. Mickey barely staying alive. BDD as well, but that will still give a summoner benefit over to BDD as he has the teleport available. Mickey having to use both of his to live through that trade.
First meeting of BDD and Mickey. Of course, BDD wasn't in the lineup in the first round robin when these two teams last met.
Yeah.
Already some fireworks. This is a preview for what should be an enthralling series.
I do like it so far.
Sungyun's spotted an award. Nice deep vision from CJ.
Yep. See, though, Kramer has the Rift Herald buff. We'll see if they want to push this, try to get to that tier 2 tower. I don't know if they're going to go for any kind of hard push.
I mean, the lanes are actually in much better spot for CJ. The reverse push is happening in top. You can already see in bottom. It's been Ezreal and Trundle holding this lane. Lucian's already falling behind in CS. Maokai is falling behind in CS. Just, again, this all comes from the interrupt and the different time as we had as a result of level 1. That's why we see so much priority with supports to roam, because in ideal circumstances, the flow-on effects is situations like this.
Yeah. You can see, though, BDD still going for the aggression early, has the blasting wand, then going to get the catalyst of the protector, it seems.
That's pretty standard, unless gold values really dictate, or repeated ganks, your flash fiend down. Maybe you go for catalyst, but blasting one for a bit of lane presence makes a lot of sense.
Goes for that, and of course, Mickey just a little ways away from that catalyst. The tier already in the inventory as he starts stacking that one up. Dark Seal purchase very early for Untara. He had that while the second tower was going down.
It's become very common, getting that extra value out of Corrupting Potion, and then the upside bonus, 350 gold purchase could theoretically net you a whole nice chunk of ability power if you get involved in kills. There's just no real downside because of how cheap the item is. Just pick it up, get that maximum value out of laning with the Corrupting Potion, and then, hey, any bonuses, you'll take them.
Yep. You see, though, Bubbling, he's still going for this item build that he's been doing so much. He keeps going for the Tracker's Knife on the Kindred, whereas most other Kindreds that we see go straight for the Skirmisher Saber. He's been doing this for quite some time now, and it's still interesting to see.
Well, you think about it. What does Tracker's Knife give you? It gives you defensive vision in most cases. CJ are a defensive team. They rarely do anything in the early game. Honestly, they're hard pushed to do anything in the mid game. They're all about extending out games, so why go for Skirmisher Saber if you have no confidence that you'll be roaming aggressively or fighting against the enemy jungle with your team?
Yeah, sure. Utara, though, maybe in a bit of a bad spot as Lyra comes through, sweeps the brush to deny the vision. Utara really far forward, has to use the ultimate to jump back, flashes over to the brush, but Lyra's going to follow up as well. Can he phase dive over the wall? He does. Lyra dashes in. Can he close the distance? Collateral damage comes out, not going to be enough. Utara will get out for his life, so all in all, it's going to be a flash for a flash.
But look at the state of the lanes. Ezreal's got a hard freeze down bottom. Untara doesn't die. The reason you never go for freezes is that it's so easy to punish them through neutral objectives, through ganking other lanes. If you get away with a freeze, you feel excellent because it's just so hard to manufacture.
Yep. Bubbling now, getting found by Song Yun as he's going to be taking away this Krug. Does have the smite available, so we'll get that and be able to retreat safely. Just continuing on the path to picking up that Devourer. Falling behind, though, you can see 15 CS up for Lyra. That's going to be a little bit troubling as Bubbling needs to be picking up those stacks very quickly once he completes the Devourer.
And it's a trademark, very greedy draft from CJ Entus, Devourer, Kindred, Blue Ezreal. One of the reason we haven't seen teams playing Ezreal is that you have champions like Sivir entering the meta. Sivir and Lucian, very powerful early. It's very powerful in the mid game. With the ricochet changes, even Sivir is very powerful in the late game. Ezreal pigeonholes you into late game, but that's CJ Entus through and through. So they're confident. Just going for the Tracker's Knife, putting down wards, and trying to stall out the game. But you're stalling out the game against Ryze.
Oh boy, this could be bad for BDD. Flash,
He's been spotted.
Flash is not available. Yeah, I think they did see Ixu, but they didn't see Lyra.
And Lyra's backed away.
But, yep, they're just going to go ahead and back off, knowing that BDD has an inkling of an idea that this was going on, so we'll just peel back and go back to their respective lanes.
Tara's on. Super safe laner in Echo. We saw a two-man gank wasn't enough to take him down because of these lane swaps, because we have so many turrets down. When we eventually see Untara pick up the Iceborne Gauntlet, one of the reasons Echo's so powerful in this meta is that she's so good at chasing down tanks when they get below 30% HP, has that missing health damage as well. She's very powerful against the meta champion. Says, oh, it's going to be a Rift.
Yep. Does get spotted out as they do have this ward, so Afreeca do have an idea that this is happening, but not going to be able to collapse in any fashion to contest for the Rift Herald, so second will go over to CJ, but are still falling behind in gold by just a couple hundred without that first blood coming out, so Afreeca doing well to maintain a slight lead despite CJ being able to pick up that 250 from both of those Rift Heralds.
I mean, that's the biggest surprise that Mickey actually has a decent CS advantage in mid.
Yeah.
Obviously hasn't felt pressured. Bubbling again. Been farming his jungle. Hasn't even guessed it in any lanes. So feels no pressure and can just push up with reckless abandon.
Yeah, that's going to be the big difference is Lyra in the jungle. 62 to 40 as far as the CS goes. And look at this. Afreeca just pushing straight in for this tier 1 tower. Not quite going to be able to get it as Graves is not going to be the most effective AD to be able to take down those turrets, but still get some significant damage in on that.
I mean, Afreeca's rotations in the early game, their early game in general has always been one of their strong points. So nice to see them, knowing Lissandra had backed, rotate into mid, get a lot of turret damage. Next time they visit mid, they'll take it down. They're looking for a dragon.
Yeah, looking for it. True Shot Barrage not going to come in time. It's blocked out by the Unbreakable as well. So second dragon goes over to Afreeca, and they all exit over the wall safely.
It's worth noting that none of this from Afreeca in the early game is a surprise. What they've developed in the second half of the season has been late game shot calling, late game team fighting, something they just never could put together ever since they debuted a year ago. Adding that to what has been a trademark strong early game. They were actually third in the league for goal difference at 15 minutes, i.e. early game power, when they were 1-6. And that's the sort of stat that really told us this team's got more, that it's not putting it together, really putting it together in the last 10 matches.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes me really excited for the next round in the summer, because a lot of teams have been on the rise. Spenu has been a team looking really strong. Not strong enough to probably take down SK Telecom later today, but looking strong. Decision-making has improved immensely. But Afreeca's another one of those teams. So moving into next split, especially with teams like Longzhu and Samsung underperforming, at the start of next split, we don't know what the standings are going to end up being. It could be completely flip-flop from where it is today. Sans, Rocks Tigers, SKT, and KT.
And look, Spenu will be playing in a relegation match, but if you're not familiar with the state of Korean Challenger right now, it's actually very top-heavy. The best team is MVP by a wide margin, and ever since Athena left they've actually been quite weak. You know, they've fallen to third in the rankings at points. Not 100% sure on where they lie right now, but basically most analysts are saying only challenger team that can take down a champions team is MVP. And since Spenu will finish 9th, they will not have to face MVP.
Yep.
So very likely to make it back into champions is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Kongdu Monster, though, it's a little bit more questionable. Almost took down Samsung, but that was very much in part to Samsung playing not so great.
There's never been a challenger playoff in Korea where the champions team was the underdog, but I have to say, this is definitely the first time for Kongdu.
Yeah, I certainly have to agree with you. See, though, tower in the mid still taking damage. Just one big push from several members of Afreeca, and they will be able to take down that objective, and that'll open up the map for Afreeca to really play around with it.
Not enough teams do this with Gray's jungle. Okay, ganking lane's not the strongest, but does so much turret damage that he's got it low. They're probably not going to go for a dive.
Oh, Public to get a lot of damage. Lamb's despite, of course, going to come down. That's going to be the Frozen Tomb now on Alira, who has to dash away. Snowflower playing up the front, but might go down. He gets the heal out here from Sangyu to keep him alive. And with the arrival of Huntara, Afreeca going to have to play really cautiously now. Snowflower quite low. Ixu going to be the only tanky member on the team at the moment. And it looks like we might just have a disengage. Afreeca saying, you know what, we'll let you have the turret for a little bit longer.
You have to say, though, the big ults are down on CJ, so Afreeca, they can get the fight they want, they'll definitely go in.
Yep, very true. Bubbling still on the run. Lyra going after him. The flash is available. Flashes over the wall.
Oh.
Does not get the kill, however. Not quite enough damage. End of the line. Didn't get him in the end. And that will be Bubbling getting out. Now Ixu gets caught, locked down by the Lissandra. Trying to run away. Snowflower jumps in front. Now the sun's coming through. BDD gonna fall. Couldn't get out of there. And now Snowflower too far forward. He's going to go down, but a mid laner for a support. Pretty good trade. Ixu, can they catch him? True Shot Barrage not yet available, so they cannot snipe him out. Ixu will be able to walk away with his life.
Sangyun, so Snowflower was definitely too aggressive there. Should have just been first blood, back away. Take that mid lane turret that you've been trying to focus down for the last few minutes.
Yep.
Well punished by CJ. Huntara rotated at just the right time. Just shows you, a little preview, Mickey's still definitely powering up, but the power, it's coming soon.
Absolutely. Rod of Ages completed here on this back. Tier still stacking. We can see, though, Kramer trying to get that Iceborne Gauntlet in, as the Manamune has been completed for quite some time.
Look at this beautiful line of pink wards in the inventories of Afreeca.
Yeah.
They're ready to set up. They've been always a team that, when they debut, we were like, wow, this team wards very well for a challenger team. Warding has been one of their strong points, and they look like they want to capitalize on one of those pink wards.
Oh, going over the wall, trying to get Bubbling, knowing that the Lamb's Respite and the Flash were down, but couldn't quite get the pick on him. But this should be the Rift Herald going over.
Kramer has no mana, so no way for them to contest Rift Herald.
Yep. Mickey flexing up against Kramer a little bit there, just roots him as he does finish the Arcane Shift, so won't be able to follow up with too much damage, but going to be Afreeca getting their first Rift Herald here of the game. Probably going to be one of the last ones that we see. Bubbling, getting engaged on Lamb's Respite has become available. Can he even pop it in time? Jumps over the wall. Actually, just off cooldown. I thought it was up, but he couldn't do it. Last auto attack finishes him off, and Mickey just gets the solo kill.
And this is the flow-on effect. And now they're not going to be able to mount a defense in mid. It will be the mid lane tower falling down as well. CJ Jungler wading into the enemy jungle on a solo mission. This time just greedy, just wanted to pick up a Mark of the Kindred, dying for it. CJ, whether it was ambition last season or bubbling this season, all too common that scenarios like this come up.
Unbench the Daydream.
I mean, that Cloud Templar guy looked all right as well.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, put Cloud Templar back in. I'm sure the CJ fans here would love that.
Really interesting to see how the offseason plays for CJ. Again, they have Daydream on the ladder, but had been out of competitive play for a long time. Obviously just practicing. They weren't confident to put him in this season, I guess, until maybe the next game. I don't know if we'll see Daydream. I doubt it, but he has a place in my heart, and it'd be great to see him back on the CJ lineup.
I mean, being out of competitive play for a long time doesn't mean that you cannot play. I mean, we saw Bengi in competitive play for a long time, now on the bench.
Do you think of a CJ player, of a competitive player that was out of the competitive scene for a long time and came in? You think of legacy Korean players. Most famous name that fits that billing is Bray, and what a comeback he made after being eventually just retiring from Najin Shield, or Sword, I believe, and coming back onto the Rocks Tigers, and the rest is history.
Yeah. We see how well that's worked out. Mickey, though, getting engaged on the stun will come through. Snowflower jumps in, trying to dissuade the rest of this engage, blocking a lot of these skill shots. Arcane Barrage will come through, but now Mad Life maybe getting locked up. Kramer, though, gonna find the first kill as Ixu goes down. Came straight into the middle of all of CJ. Looks like they're gonna be able to pick him up. And I don't know if they're going to be able to continue any pressure onto this tower in the mid lane. Snowflower going to have to back off. Mickey can't stick around for too long, but the calling's available here for Songyun, and he's likely going to have to use it. There it is. Trying to keep him off this one. Untara looking for the flank, not going to be able to find it.
Mickey still has cleanse and has ult available again, so could put in a nice burst of damage, but CJ will back away.
Yep. So not going to be able to net themselves that objective, but do get the kill onto Untara, so they'll level the scoreboard in that regard.
Oh no. The red buff burn puts the blue buff over to Lyra. That's not good. Oh, that's awkward.
So that's a double buff flub here for the side of Afreeca so far.
But Mickey already had a blue buff as far as we can tell, so he's going to do okay.
I think he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
Needlessly large rod now in the inventory. The Seraph's Embrace got to be coming soon. He's been stacking that thing up pretty furiously. We'll see if he gets it on completion or if he'll have to stack up a few more spells. But I think it'll be pretty close. Rod of Ages, though.
4 stacks, I believe.
Yeah, and I believe 8 on the side of BDD. So he did complete that. Maybe it's 6. I can't really tell.
I think it's 8. Our monitors are quite small, guys.
Yeah.
We're squinting to check.
It's hard to tell sometimes, these numbers. 15 stacks, though, for bubbling. That's bad. That sucks. not like... Okay, that sounded harsh.
It was harsh, Kilios. Harsh but fair.
Yeah. I try not to be too rough sometimes, but
only
bubbling,
on NA, right?
Yeah, only on NA. But no, bubbling, that is not a good look. 21 minutes in, 15 stacks.
Well, he's been punished when he's tried to make those roam plays. Of course, got solo killed by Mickey just a few minutes ago.
Oh, wow. Look at the damage coming through. Has to throw down the Lamb's Respite. Has the flash available. Should be able to get out of this one. She's going to sit in it. Why not just flash the wall and try to get the safety? Sticks in there. And Lyra gets the kill.
Here comes
really
Mickey. Weird
decision-making. BDD going to get locked up. Has to use the Frozen Tomb down onto himself. Meanwhile, Mad Life goes down as he flashes the wall. Songyun getting the kill there. Kramer and BDD able to escape, but have to use the flash on both of them to get out. And Tara just trying to split around the bot side, but look at this.
He didn't feel like he had a teleport ward. He's going to have to teleport now to stop this Baron.
Yeah. Gonna have to try to do something. Both Kramer and BDD insanely low. It would certainly be a suicide
no walls
play.
to get there.
TP coming in now for Tara. It's going to be too late. This thing is going down. There's too much damage on the side of Afreeca. They get the kill. BDD on the run with Glacial Path through Tara, cutting him off with a parallel convergence, goes in onto Ixu. Can they find a kill? I don't think it's going to happen. Lyra goes in, finds BDD. End of the line, not going to connect. Now Untara, way too far forward, has to use the ultimate to dash back. Getting those concussive blows stacked up. Lyra, can he get this kill? One more auto attack would do it. Throws out end of the line, not going to connect now. Lyra has to be on the run. Hextrigger gets popped. That's going to be the Mystic Sotch still slowing him up. He will be able to retreat, but overall, a devastating play onto CJ leads straight into a Baron, and Afreeca going to be able to walk away with all 5 members alive.
Insane that Untara stayed bot for so long, didn't find a teleport, then couldn't even teleport to contest the Baron. You have to think communication between the members of CJ just wasn't there because they get insanely punished for what could have been just a couple of people falling down and no other big objectives for Afreeca.
Yeah.
We're going to watch the replay. This is the Baron take again. Untara very, very slow on the teleport. And then so many low health bars. The re-engage for Lyra seems pretty crazy, but he's just trying to buy pressure for Ixu to get out. They almost get an answering kill anyway, but nobody dies.
Yeah, he didn't clip the wall with the end of the line either there, which almost certainly would have led to BDD's death. So a little bit of a misplay by Lyra, missing that skill shot, but overall, Afreeca completely in control of this game here. 23.5 minutes and up over 4,000 gold at the moment. And they're looking to add some more to that tally as they continue these pushes, these split pushes here across the map into these tier 2 turrets that are still standing for CJ.
The crazy thing to me is that we've never seen Mickey be kited. The big criticism of mid lane Rise with no teleport is that he only has his ult as a gap closer against Trundle, against Lissandra, against all the disengage that CJ can put out. But CJ have been opting into fights when they still have people powering up, when Bubbling, as we mentioned, is nowhere near Sated Devourer. Old CJ would just be wave clearing and trying to alleviate pressure, but feels like CJ have heard the criticism and then kind of gone a bit Rambo when this is actually one of those games where hanging back is very much in their incentive.
Yeah, CJ, do not go Rambo. They're not going Rambo like 1 or 2, they're going like Rambo, like the new one, whatever the new one that came out like 4 years ago was. I don't remember what it's called, it's just bad.
Who's the really old Sylvester Stallone character in this one then? Who on that? Is that Mad Life? Is he the one who's like past it and like, oh god guys, one more fight?
I mean,
No one else really fits the billing there.
I'd say it's Bubbling just because the movie's bad, Sylvester Stallone is bad.
But remember, Rambo was
well.
once a heroic character. I don't know if Bubbling's ever been a heroic character.
That's true. That's a good point.
And one other interesting storyline that I actually wasn't aware of to just before this series, that Untara was actually on the first ever Anarchy lineup, and Bubbling, famously, I already knew, was on Rebels Anarchy, so some more revenge stories coming through.
Oh, well, that's going to be the 4th Dragon going down. Snowflower getting locked up in the parallel conversion. Bubbling all on his own on an island. Lamb's Spike comes down. He's going to fall all the same. Songyun going to pick up the kill. Let's see if Afreeca can continue the chase. Mickey's wrapping around through the mid lane. Songyun almost goes down, has to flash and heal, keep himself alive.
Here comes Mickey.
On the retreat. Here comes Mickey, though. Ixu goes into the back line, locks down BDD. He's going to fall. That's going to be Untara going down as well. A 3-for-1 play here from Afreeca, and CJ stuck in the wrong side of the jungle, gonna have to retreat with the recalls, and this opens up Afreeca to take down this tier 2 in the mid lane.
You have to think Ambition somewhere is watching this and shaking his head at some more bubble time from Bubbling. That's what the Korean fans call some of Bubbling's catastrophic mistakes. We saw one where he invaded, solo killed by Rise, and in this fight when we see a replay, with the Lamb's Respite, a utility ult, he's just completely separated from his team, dies for free. They get no value from Lamb's Respite, and another team fight win over to Afreeca.
Yeah. They also say fumbling sometimes. Bubbling.
No, but bubble time's more fun.
Yeah.
If you don't know that it's ironic, it sounds like you're praising him. Ah, yay, it's bubble time.
Yeah. It's not a good thing.
No.
Bubble time is never a good thing. It's like party casks with Bubbling.
And Bronx cheers. I like how you came up with another thing. It was still for Bubbling. Oh dear.
Yep. Poor Bubbling.
Poor Bubbling.
You know what? I'm thinking about it more. I think that Rambo movie might have literally just been called Rambo.
That's probably actually correct. That's the cool new thing.
I think that's what it is.
Because numbers make things sound like you have to watch the previous ones.
Yeah.
Rambo's just a cool title.
Yeah, I think they just called it Rambo.
I've never seen a Rambo film.
Really?
I know.
Oh, you got to see First Blood.
I'm lucky they didn't ask me that when I was coming into the United States a couple of weeks ago. I think I wouldn't have passed border control.
Yeah, it's an interesting
Speaking
movie.
of border
Snowflower, though, getting caught out in the jungle. Uses to stand behind me to get the safety that should keep him alive. Untara can't follow up for the parallel convergence as the concussive blows do lock him up. Now Lyra arriving, going to dissuade any further aggression by CJ Entus. Can try to go for a pick on the support, and they still can't even get it, and he holds onto the flash.
But it's crazy that you think of the two scenarios. Untara was out of place when they took the Baron. In this situation, you don't see any panic teleport from Ixu. Clear communication. He's like, okay, you guys can get out. I'm going to keep pushing. Rise started to walk bottom, got called back into mid. Afreeca don't lose out on resources through panic teleports and panic plays. They've been the controlled pro team, and CJ Entus has been the one who's been wanting on a macro level.
Yeah.
The items are really starting to pack up as well. Ixu's looking very, very powerful. Spirit Visage and the Frozen Heart been completed for a while. Less said about Rise, the better from a CJ perspective. He's going to be murdering people.
Yes,
and it's just 2 item power spikes for most of CJ. Gold lead very much reflected, and team fight's looking a bridge too far for CJ Entus.
Yep, and then we are now just 200, 300 gold away from a 10,000 deficit for CJ Entus, which is looking pretty insurmountable here as we are not even at the 29-minute mark.
We haven't even talked about the 4 dragons.
Oh,
again,
no, we haven't.
In the open space, initiating as Afreeca is super hard. Only Maokai really has the way with a teleport flank. When you got 4 dragons, the enemy team has to come to you, and then Rise says, thank you very much, activates his ultimate and gets triple kill.
Yep.
That's the big difference, is Afreeca needed to control objectives if they were going to win with a comp that was so easily kited. Well, mission success.
Mission success indeed. See Mickey looking oh so terrifying with the Void Staff in his inventory.
Lyra has Flame Horizon Devourer Kindred.
Oh my god.
The farming jungler.
Dear Lord. That is not something I would have ever expected to see. A Flame Horizon against the enemy jungler.
And also, think about this. Look at the CS values. Everyone buying the supports is above 200 CS except Lyra, who's under 100. That just means that CJ have missed 110 CS that Afreeca have found.
That is a depressing statistic that I wish I never heard.
Bubble time.
Yep, bubble time. Second dragon.
Double
Baron
teleport.
has started up. TB coming in. BDD coming in. Who can he find for a target with this Frozen Tomb? Afreeca actually have to kite back. CJ have a pretty good stranglehold here so far. They go forward, find Snowflower, taking a lot of damage. He has to flash away, but he still goes down. Bubbling finds the kill. Now Ix in the front side, getting taken down. The Amster Spike drops on all members of every team. CJ, though, looking like it's going to be the ones that fall down, and it will be, as this is going to be Songyun going on a tear. Picks up a double kill. Kramer fires back, finds one of his own, but Lyra takes down Untara. So far, a 3 for 3. CJ and Afreeca, both teams completely crippled after that fight, coming out even.
That was a titanic fight, and it was actually a great Lamb's respite. You saw everyone fell low from the desperate power AoE from Rise, but nobody died at the start of the challenge. This was actually a really awesome fight. Finally, the double teleport counts up a lot. Afreeca already poked out. Excellent flash away from BDD, and then the damage starts coming through. Snowflower dies first. Not that ideal, but it was fine from an Afreeca perspective. But look at what the Lamb Spike gives them. Everyone so low on the side of CJ, but then Mickey dies instantly after the Lamb Spike goes down, and it ends up being a very even trade, despite the fact that Afreeca entered that fight about 9,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, that is the best, one of the best case scenarios that you can find if you're CJ Entus, picking up those kills and trading evenly. But now it's do or die time. The dragon spawning right now. 5th dragon for Afreeca if they pick this up would be the first for CJ Entus. If this goes over to Afreeca, I think that last fight just counts for nothing.
CJ needs to find time for Bubbling to get his ult up. He's not going to have damage. He's way behind his opponent. But 75%. The Lamb's respite is what they need to have any hope of winning this fight.
Yeah, 75% off cooldown. Still need to wait, but it's already been started up, and this dragon's taking a hell of a lot of damage as Afreeca pushes forward. Parallel convergence comes in. BDD on the backside of the pit, gonna go in. Lyra has to dash out, and he's still gonna find it with the spike. Takes him down. BDD has to use his Onions to try to keep himself alive. Bubbling, flashing out. The Lamb's spike still not there, but the rest of CJ is just crumbling under the pressure that Afreeca's applying. Bubbling, the only one alive, but not for long, as Songyun is hot on the chase. Minions already pushed up here into that mid tower.
Oh.
The tip of the pier piercing light takes him down. You can see Mickey, big smile on his face. That's going to be game one, going to Afreeca in great fashion as they stomp out CJ Entus.
Achilles, with this flu, I don't have the power in my voice to explain how well Lyra played that fight. You saw him dash out behind the pit when he saw the claw coming in from BDD. Then he altered in the opposite direction to get back in the pit, hit the smite, 5th dragon, they win the game. Lyra was outstanding, and Afreeca Freecs deserve the first game of the series.
What a gorgeously played game by Afreeca. Almost giving up some ground to CJ in that fight at the Baron Pit, but coming back in and just absolutely crushing CJ. You can see the looks of defeat here on these guys' face. Gonna have to collect themselves.
Where's our Samsung cam?
I don't know. I want a Samsung cam.
I think it looks pretty much like this.
Yeah. It's probably something very similar.
Lyra
a lot of cold
literally
sweats going on.
pulled one out of nowhere. I have never seen the ult used purely to get back into the Dragon Pit as if it was a 90 caliber net. That was insane to see. Still had the ability to get the smite. Mickey played great. They weren't able to punish the cleanse. They got the dragons, which forced CJ to fight on their terms. No cutting out the rise. And even though they misplayed one fight, Afreeca Freecs look great.
Absolutely. And this is how they've looked for the last couple weeks, and Lyra especially showing up huge on that Graves, didn't die in the entire game, and like you said, making that wonderful play with the collateral damage.
Insane.
That was just
So good.
high mechanic skill right there, and to confirm the Dragon with the smite, beautifully played by him. He gets my MVP vote. Lyra, that was a wonderful performance on Graves.
And the casual flame horizon of the enemy jungler. And
Yeah.
the enemy jungler was a Kindred that never ganked.
A Kindred that also never got sated in about a 32-minute game. 32 and a half
boy.
minutes, did not get sated. Don't know how many stacks he had.
One
but
step
I'm gonna
away,
guess it's something like
Achilles.
23.
One more win, and this team's going to playoffs. They were 1-6, and crazily, they're going to playoffs potentially.
We'll have to see what happens when we come back for game 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes.